It is time for the Nerd Log. You know it. It's Thursday afternoon in pretty much, or possibly late evening, if you are in the Ukraine. And thank you so much. It is time for the Nerd Log. It is our time to talk about new and exciting features for New Relic, and also try to kind of get people up to speed. And this is a perfect example of this one. We're talking about alerts and AI. And while there are sort of new features coming out that we want to talk about, also I know that there's a lot of people using New Relic or using other observability tools who don't realize how deep New Relic's offering in this kind of field has gotten over the last few months. So we've got Nate with us, an extremely OG at New Relic. Nate, say hi to the people.
Hey people, yeah, I'm Nate Heinrich. I'm a product manager at New Relic. I love the as OG as it gets, huh? Not many people, I guess, at this point been at New Relic longer to me. Drew, though, 7 years. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I did crest 8 years this month. So yes, it's been a ride. Love it though.
There are some people who worked with me in support a solid 7 years ago at New Relic or are still here, obviously having, mainly gone on to bigger and brighter things, or they're leading a whole team now. And, they're the person who I taught how to use Zendesk, nearly a decade ago. So that's kind of fun to see people who've grown with the org. But yeah, you've definitely been here a long time. You've seen a lot of big changes. So I do kind of take that view to it. I don't necessarily want to give people at the Nerd Log oh, it worked this way last week, and this was, it works this way this week, right? This isn't Overwatch. Most people don't know the exact, feature set week to week. But I do like to kind of take people from a world of kind of traditional APM where any kind of alerts or notifications you were getting were absolutely just the things that you had set up, beforehand. You knew that this was going to be a problem, previously in time. And the observability genius Charity Majors has sort of said, when we set up a dashboard, we're almost always agreeing this is a problem we want to keep an eye on, meaning we're not really going to fix it, right? Hey, the server runs out of memory. We're just going to kind of watch it, restart it when it does. And that's the end of it, right? We're not really going to fix that problem. That's why we set up a dashboard, right? And so that was how alerts were. And so that was limited in a number of ways, right? The most significant is sort of failure states obviously can happen in ways that you don't predict, right? So the system that you wanted to keep an eye on is failing, but it looks okay by the standards that you set. So, it no longer accepts requests, which means now it's actually got plenty of memory, right? So your out of memory error is no longer, that applicable, or something fails that you do not expect. So it's handling requests perfectly quickly. It's giving back information. The information, though, because of a failure, is junk, right? So the user experience is poor. Nobody's happy. But again, your dashboards look fine. So what this is trying to take us into a world of saying, I know I've said this before on stream, but I'll say it again. People used to ask me all the time when I was doing tech support for New Relic. They would say, well, you have all our data. Can't you just kind of call us when you see that something is fucked? Right? Can't you just kind of let us know, hey, this doesn't seem good, hey, your request that used to take 8 seconds, it now takes 1/1000th of a second. That can't be right, right? Hey, look into that. So tell us what we're going to look at this week.
Yeah, great setup. And I'm looking forward to the day where, configuring and managing alerts is not something that teams need to think about. We're heading in that direction. I'm going to show you some things that are making progress there. But I hate to break it to you, teams out there, alerts are still important. You still need to know how your system operates, who your customers are, how they use your system, and do some planning and creating those alerts. And there's some advancements in this area around anomaly detection that can help supplement, help fill in the gaps. Right, because creating and managing robust alerting is hard, and we're on a journey together to kind of make that easier for you, and then we can get to that future where you don't have to really think about it too much. So what I'm hoping to do is show you a new capability that is in limited release right now, and so when you go to the UI, just fill out a quick form, and we'll get you some access, and we want to hear your feedback, and that's what we call anomaly detection on everything. So for folks that don't know, we've had for a little over a year now a product called Proactive Detection, and it is automatically on and monitors anomalies on the golden signals of all your applications, and you don't need to configure it. Just always on. And one of the things we heard from customers is, hey, this is great. Can I get some more of that? I got, hosts, containers, load balancers, other types of what we think about as like entities, things that emit telemetry, and we want anomalies on that. Can you help us with that? So we're trying to move fast in that direction and get you something to get that broad coverage on all the things. And I'm going to show you what we have in terms of progress there. So when you go into alerts and AI, you go to proactive detection settings. This custom tab here is new. Didn't exist like a week or two ago.
And so I did just want to, I was actually talking a second ago, but I was muted. But so this is something right now, people have to kind of get in touch with us to say, hey, we want to give this a try.
Yep. Yeah. And basically you fill out the form, we'll light you up. No big deal. Nice. And so, hey, if you're seeing this now, the folks that are filling out that request form are going to be turned on much sooner than those later. So we've got kind of a limited release here, but yeah, we're excited to get your feedback. Let us know how it's working for you. And here's an example of how you want to set it up. Well, one, I'm hoping that everybody that watches this, and I don't know if you've had a nerd blog on workloads before, but this is going to be a quick shout out to what we call workloads. It's a little definition of a collection of entities that work together to deliver something to your customers, right? And in microservice architecture, and you were just talking to the Pixie folks about that, takes a lot of little things working together to actually deliver the end result to your customers, whether they be other teams in your business or customers that are paying you money, right? Mm. So how do you put a little wrapper around that and then it also be dynamic? That's what workloads are. And we're leveraging workloads to do like really broad, easy anomaly detection. So
I've gotten to talk about workloads quite a bit just because I love them for serverless, right? Because obviously with serverless, we group everything into a single alias, right? That makes sense. But there's still this fundamental fact of like nothing is ever just like a single serverless function, right? So we had to have workloads to be able to automatically gather stuff together and give you that high level view. So we're starting from workloads here.
That's right. So I'm adding some anomaly detection, and the first thing we ask you is scope it to a workload. And the great thing about those is they can be dynamic. So you can add some tagging and filtering to your workload. So as new things come in, they automatically become a member of the workload and automatically can get anomaly detection, right? So in this little demo account, we've got one workload defined. It's this Demotron Towers. And I'm going to click on it. And the first thing you'll see is we go into the workload and show you all the things. So the first thing you may notice is this type column. And now we've got anomaly detection on applications, but now I know this one has, EBS volumes, hosts, load balancers, MySQL, all kinds of like a mixture of things that work together. And they're already pre-selected. You basically hit next. We give you kind of 3 quick options, like what kind of sensitivity of anomaly detection do you want? Recommend just starting with low, and you can kind of bump the sensitivity up from there. Yeah. Hit next and create. And basically the entire workload now has anomaly detection enabled on it, every single one of those entities. And the signals we're choosing is what we call golden signals. We actually have an open source file or in one of our repos where every single entity type that we know of and all of the kind of core signals that you should be monitoring are in there.
For those of you playing from home, entity is this that's like our new Relic idea to say essentially like something that emits metrics, right? Because we wanted to say, hey, these are applications or hosts or instances. That doesn't really make sense for all the variety of things that we're monitoring. So an entity is just, we can generate metrics on like secure credentials. So like that's just it's way too we need something very general for, hey, we're connecting your entities, right?
Yeah, it is a super generic term, but yeah, it's a thing that's emitting some telemetry, and it's usually something you care about working correctly as like an atomic unit. And so all of those, that whole workload is now being monitored for anomalies. And how do you consume those? So there's a couple ways. First, you go into issues and activity, and everything that you just configured will start to show up in this Anomalies tab. And there's a couple of things you can do with this. One, just consume it, consume the feed, see what's going on, like what's happening right now. And you can kind of zoom in time and look at the types of signals that are having problems in a time window with this automatic anomaly detection. Additionally, this data is also being written to NRDB and is accessible to customers. So what does that mean? NRDB, is our that storage engine that backs all of New Relic One, and there's a event type. Think of it like a table called NRAI Anomaly. And let's go back maybe 7 days. I'm in the a data explorer right now, kind of a point and click way to just explore all the data that's accessible to you.
So is this NRAI anomaly, like all of the instances where like New Relic detects an anomaly? Is that what the graph is?
That's right. So this is a count of anomalies over time across all the things that are being monitored, whether it be the automatic on anomaly detection for applications or the things you just set up that are based off of the workloads. Anytime there's like, hey, this telemetry looks weird, an event is emitted, an anomaly event, and it's stored in this event type. And you can look at patterns and kind of slice and dice it. And I'll show you one kind of interesting like meta alerting example where, for instance, if we look at, say, entity type, let's break down by entity type, we'll make it kind of a filled there. So you can see over the last 7 days, there were 583 application anomalies. So issues with their golden signals like response time, error rate, throughput, and then 74 anomalies on hosts that are being automatically monitored. And you get a sense of these counts. You can even do something like, I'm going to filter down to just application anomalies over the last 7 days. I'll show you a little hidden feature that folks may not know about, but from Data Explorer, you can create an alert. So you can start with the data that you have here. And I'm going to create an alert condition on this. So we've got kind of multiple layers here. So a little bit of inception going on. But I wanted to take the opportunity to say, like, hey, if you're thinking about your environment kind of like way zoomed out, maybe you're NOC engineer, or you just are looking for kind of these meta patterns of, hey, a collection of my applications are starting to emit anomalies in a short amount of time. I'd like to know about that. You can actually write a query against that anomaly event, and I'll do a couple interesting things here. Sum of query results, you can kind of reshape it and does like a rolling sum. I can change the time window to say like a rolling 10 minutes, and then we'll set maybe like there's more than 5 anomalies on my applications within a 10-minute cluster. Could be an interesting event that you want to get alerted about. So we've kind of gone from a quick way to do anomaly detection on a very dynamic workload, emitting those anomalies, looking at them as a time series, and then looking for clusters of anomalies in a tight window, and then actually alerting yourself on that. So that is our new anomaly detection on everything in a nutshell. Anybody interested? Again, hit up that proactive detection settings, click on custom, say, hey, I'm interested. I want to try this thing out, and we'll get you some access quick. And we'd love to hear your feedback.
I really, really like this. This is I really like the idea of detecting on multiple things. I think it's really interesting as we like bring in stuff like CloudFront data from AWS, how you might be able to practically detect anomalies on things like queuing services and other stuff that we can't generate obviously our own metrics on, but we can see what's going on with them. And there's a really good comment here in the Twitch, right, where somebody's working on a 2-person dev team and wearing a lot of hats and really can't configure enough alerts. So this is one of the ways that I used New Relic after I left and became a full-time developer, was just that like synthetics piece, or if a tool like this that existed at the time to say, yeah, I don't work on this service full time, but I want just something that's going to tell me like, is this working well, and can I get some indicator of whether there's a problem? Yeah, I really like this. Thank you so much, Beard Age, for dropping in. It's really, really neat to hear. Is there other stuff you wanted to show us? I love this dashboard. I want to see people try it out.
Yeah, try that out, and then I'll show you a couple other things that we.
Oh, that's right. We got a whole list. I
got two more. I don't want to bore you all, but I got a couple other really cool things that we did launch
on this anomaly detection stuff. Yeah,
and this has to do with responding to correlated issues. So for folks who don't know, we have an entire incident intelligence product. And its job is to reduce noise and take, even when you have really good, robust alerting on your modern environment, when something goes wrong, it is common for many symptoms to be emitted as alerts to tell you there's a problem. Now, that cascading failure is becoming more and more common as we have more microservices, more pieces that are linked together, and when one root cause can cause a lot of symptoms to occur. I want to be clear, like when people say that alert storms and noise, there's two different types. There's false positives, which is basically like I'm telling you something that you're probably going to ignore and is wrong, or a bunch of things that are correct that really should be grouped together. And so the incident intelligence product correlates those alerts together, those symptoms, into one issue. And so here's an example of an issue page. So when you come in and respond with an incident intelligence, like, hey, there's 21 symptoms here. It's actually one issue. Here's the issue. Here's the things involved. And we're going to help you kind of walk you through, diagnosing it and moving, figuring out what's the action it's going to take to mitigate it. So that's kind of setting the stage. I'm now responding to this issue with 21 symptoms, and I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on. So
yeah, I think this is really cool. I think I could see SREs like collaborating on incidents, because I feel like not enough tools encourage collaboration in this like space. And I feel like having a single source of truth like this is super, super helpful.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. So that siloing is something we hear a lot about, where you've got teams setting up their monitoring and alerting, and they know when their stuff's broken, but they have so many connections with other teams and their parts of the environment. And if every team is just aware of their problems in isolation, but they don't know about how they're affecting each other, you're losing time, right? And so the idea is that if I've got this pretty big complex issue at hand, there's a bunch of things going wrong, if I can get 2 or 3 teams from the beginning to land on this one issue, and it's like, hey, we're in this together, all of our stuff is broken because we depend on each other, you've saved like many minutes of time of like, oh, my thing's broken, but is it somebody else's fault, or am I impacting somebody else? That kind of understanding of what's going on right now is clear from the moment you get the notification.
I have a quick question. So I see PagerDuty's logo and 2 new Relic logos. What does that mean right there?
Yeah, great observation. So a lot of people also don't know that, hey, this correlation engine isn't only accepting New Relic alerts as its input. Our correlation engine is super flexible, and you can actually connect other alerting engines, and we'll group that together into an issue. So in this case, we actually have Anomalies, alerts from New Relic, and PagerDuty as a source. So if you've got a bunch of Nagios and Zabbix and some other things kind of already sending alerts into PagerDuty, you actually connect PagerDuty to incident intelligence, and we'll get those alerts in real time, and then we'll correlate it with all your New Relic stuff, and then get you that kind of noise reduction and break down those silos from many sources. And then you respond to that single issue. So this is basically saying, hey, there's 3 sources of alerts coming together into this one issue, and we're going to lay it out for you and help you, respond to it efficiently. So a lot of preamble there. Set you up for the new thing that's out is, hey, if you've got these complex issues, how do we help you kind of reason about them more quickly? And so I think, you just saw some of the Pixie stuff in the mapping, and we're bringing some of that mapping into issues. So this issue map is new. And when you've got a complex problem, helping to kind of visualize it and who's connected to who is super helpful for understanding that impact radius and those dependencies a little more clearly. And the map even is interactive, so you can quickly get to some of the, what we call like those overview pages, get some quick statistics on what's happening now, maybe some other things are going on. The map also informs you if you have synthetic monitors that monitor those applications, their current state, because they could be doing some checks that could help you understand, like, oh, this is a stepped transaction or checking monitor, and it's failing, and you can dig into why those monitors are failing for some from cause analysis. And yeah, just in general, kind of mapping data stores, external dependencies that could be part of the problem, so you can kind of understand the landscape of everything that's going on and get to the data quickly.
Yeah, this is this thing I was talking about previously when we were talking about Pixie and Kubernetes mapping, is that something I've come in and said we need to get better at New Relic, despite all the cool stuff we have like this, is I've been kind of beating the drum of, I want to see this kind of service map stuff or dependency mapping or some idea of which entities, right, that very general term, are connected. And this is actually, it turned out, I didn't really know this, that in this industry, a service map is kind of a classic thing that people ask for, but they don't actually want. Like, they're like, oh, I need the service map. I want to see everything's generating calls and how they're connected. But then anytime you deliver it and you go look at like how often do people actually click over here, it's like never, right? And I think partly that might be out of date intelligence. I think that, at a time when you had 2 or 3 backend services, a queuing, you had, let's say, 20 entities running your entire, global process, I think it's possible to say, yeah, I don't really need to see this map every day, right? But first of all, microservice world kind of happened, right? Which is like, you now have God knows how many nodes on your architecture. But then also, this is not that, right? It's not just, hey, here's a global map. It's here's how the thing that we are seeing an anomaly on is connected, right? So what might a failure connect to? And like one of the AWS failures this year was essentially people not realizing, oh, these 2 components are connected, right? And so one will take down the other in a way that we did not expect.
Yeah, I like that. I've noticed that as well. Proactive service map consumption, not many people do that. There's not a lot of reason to. In the moment, like fighting a fire, service map consumption scoped down to the problem at hand, much more usable. Like that to me is where the value is. And so we're going to be doing additional turns on this and helping for those kind of visual thinkers to kind of step through and diagnose these complex problems. And the problems are just getting more complex as time goes on. Environments getting smaller pieces and more things involved at the same time. Cool. All right, Can I do one more thing? It's a quick one.
Yep, that sounds great.
All right, one last thing. What we're doing is, if you use New Relic dashboards, you're writing some NRQL, you're putting those widgets in place, and there hasn't been like a real connection to the things you're querying on your dashboards, which what I would consider your custom observability. And the things you're actually monitoring, those entities, the things that you have in your head that you care about. And so what we're doing behind the scenes is anytime a dashboard is loaded now, we're basically saying, hey, are these queries looking at telemetry from an entity, which one, and kind of creating a connection there. So that as what I've done is I'm scrolling down on this issue, and I'm into the details of those 21 symptoms. And if I click on the analyze, this is a separate topic. I think we talked about in the previous nerd logs, but this is basically trying to answer this analyze page says, hey, why did this anomaly occur? Why did this spike? The top area is what we call the facts, and the bottom area is that analysis, trying to answer the why. One new thing that is in here is relevant dashboards. So for folks that are creating dashboards, we want to make it easier to discover existing dashboards that you've invested in, or maybe another team has invested in to monitor a thing, and make that available to people responding super quickly and easily. So, okay, plan service, response time's going crazy. How do I get to the plan service? Well, you didn't have to link your dashboards to plan service. We've done it for you behind the scenes, kind of secretly. And then let's see, what are the last edited dashboards or the newest dashboards that I want to check out? Okay, there's a New Relic plan service dashboard. Looks like, has a bunch of operational info on it. I'm going to get a little bit of lag here, but click on it and get the dashboard to show up and load it quickly.
Our Twitch is getting rated by, I believe, gamers. So
no, it's a programming. It's a programmer. It's one of Pachi, who's a teammate's friend.
Oh, Pachi, God.
Oh, well, welcome everybody.
Welcome everybody. We're talking about AI anomaly detection. Thanks so much for joining.
Yeah. So quick access to that dashboard that a team has created. This is their view of like, okay, when I look at this dashboard, I need to know how is it healthy and what might be the problems be, and that's been like directly linked in through that for those responders of those correlated issues.
Yeah, this is the thing I find really fascinating is, when I use like any kind of like long-standing observability tool, like a New Relic dashboard that's been used for a long time, very often, people have set up dozens or hundreds of custom views, and I don't really know which is meaty and which is not, right? Mm-hmm. So having some sense of, hey, this is a frequently used dashboard, this is a relevant dashboard, really, really nice to be able to say. Even the like just being able to say, hey, these were edited and created on these dates, and we'll move it to the top. Oh, that's really, really nice.
Yeah, we wanted to add up kind of a popularity or how often other people are looking at it as a column. We might
Can we get a zoom and enhance on this view? Let's see.
Sure,
we might break our view. We'll find out. We'll give us like 2 steps.
2 steps. All right. Let's see how we do.
More power. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's awesome.
We didn't quite break it.
Still holding on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one interesting thing is that the relevant dashboards behind the scenes, it only shows things that people are looking at. So it ages out. So if like you said, if there's like dozens of dashboards for monitoring a particular service because it's been around for decade, the ones that people are actually looking at are the ones that will show up in this list. And if they haven't been, I'm not sure exactly how many days, if nobody's looked at it in like a month or 2, then it actually won't be on this list. So it kind of keeps it fresh and based off of like what people are doing.
That is so helpful because honestly, in my New Relic account, I think I have 100 dashboards and I maybe look at 3 of them on a daily basis.
It happens fast, right? Like you're like, oh yeah, I'll look at this another way, right? And I used to sort of think it was an artifact of, oh, well, we work at New Relic, so of course we're like trying out different stuff and we have a bunch of dashboards set up. Not really. That's just kind of the way it is, right? Everybody wants to like slice and dice their data in their own way. Now, I hope that workloads, which are a bit more adaptive and a bit more automated, may cut down on that somewhat. So instead of dragging a bunch of stuff into a custom dashboard, it's like, no, it's just a workload that updates automatically based on tags. But this is the reality. There's a lot of custom views.
So that's what I had for you today. We talked about anomaly detection on everything. We talked about the new issue map and basically populating relevant dashboards, bringing those to you as you're responding, so you can quickly get to those places where your teams have invested in that customized observability view.
Love that. All right, this was a really good one. I really encourage you, if you are a New Relic user, to take a look at anomaly detection. It is, there's again, we're talking about stuff that's like, hey, you may not always have the ability to deploy or do your own, modify the data you're reporting. This is about processing data that you're already sending to us. So I really encourage you to give it a try because chances are you can get it working now. You don't have to go and do anything on your servers to be able to do some kind of automated anomaly detection, which I really, really love. But Nate, do you have other stuff? You have a SoundCloud album coming out. Do you have a TikTok channel we should be following?
I should have known you were going to ask that. You asked it last time, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm working on the SoundCloud thing. There's no SoundCloud now, but yeah, if y'all want to check out Alerts and AI and the anomaly detection on anything, it's that limited release. Sign up. If you sign up, in the next 2 days, I'll get you in just like that.
I love that. I really like that. Yeah, I will ping a couple of people who are using it heavily to say, hey, maybe go think about this, give it a try. Let's see, Daniel, what else should we be mentioning while we're here?
So Nika and I are starring in a new music video for Observability, the rap album. So look out for that. It's going to be a SoundCloud album with a music video, and it's going to be super awesome. Actually, I'm trying to speak it into existence. So that is something that we're working on. We're also working on getting fettuccine as swag for all of our viewers of the Nerd Vlog. So
how did that start? By the way, how did that?
I forgot.
Right. That was me. I did that. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big plate of spaghetti is swag.
Honestly, that would be better than half the swag I get. Honestly, so.
Does it travel well though? That's the question.
No, that's the part I really like. Is I want people like a few shows to like be tweeting like an open Amazon box that's just filled with spaghetti and like 2 meatballs on top. Like, thanks again.
I mean, if we did like pull it off though, that would be the coolest swag.
So I actually am on TikTok at serverless_mom. I don't know why I put the underscore in that one, because every place else, GitHub, Twitter, Twitch, you can just find me serverless mom, all one word. Do check out student.serverlessdays.io, which is the Serverless Days Student Edition. Is coming out mid-August. If you want to submit a CFP or just sign up for the event, come and check it out. That's going to be all serverless stuff, sort of targeted at people who are new with serverless. So you could be a student who's starting out with coding, or you could be somebody who just wants to go deeper with serverless, who has a ton of experience someplace else. Do come check it out. Yeah, Beard Age, I want to see that blog post. So I want to take a look at that. Other stuff, Daniel, we should be playing. Come back for the Nerdlog on Thursdays.
Nerdlog is the coolest place to be. It is the hottest live stream about observability ever. So come and hang out with us.
If you're monitoring Kubernetes, do check out our Pixie integration. Check out Pixie on GitHub and take a look at how it integrates with New Relic. That's really cool stuff. Check me out at Increment Mag. I did history of Kubernetes and containerization as a piece for Increment this month, came out. That was kind of cool. What else? I'm speaking at We Are Developers next week. Usual dev advocacy stuff. I don't want in-person stuff to start again. I thought I did, but I don't.
But I want to hang out with you, Nika, in person.
Okay, that I want to do. There are some faces. There's some virtual postage stamp faces that I want to see. But I think one thing is I still don't drive. That hasn't changed. So my experience of waking up at like 6 a.m. at like Hampton Inn, being like, I really want breakfast, and deciding I'm going to like walk to the McDonald's, which I can the whole time. I can see the McDonald's, right? I walk out of the lobby of the hotel. I can see the McDonald's, but you cannot get there. You start off on like a beautiful cobblestone like courtyard of the hotel. Then you move on to a sidewalk. You're like, okay, I'm walking to the McDonald's. Then it just becomes an unimproved shoulder. And then at a certain point, when you can already see the McDonald's there in the distance, the glass doors opening and closing, air-conditioned air, buffeting out into the hot Texas weather, there's just a ditch in front of you that's filled with like fast rushing water. And if you get across that ditch, you still have to get across 3 lanes of freeway off ramp before you can get to that McDonald's.
You're really selling in-person conferences to me right now.
I'm not missing. I don't miss that part.
It sounds so intense.
That was the Nerdlog, folks. Thank you so much for coming out. Producer me is gonna play us off.
This is the randomest ending ever. I love it.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week.
Thank you, everyone. That was so random.